Guys, how is everybody doing? And welcome back to the final review in my Christopher Nolan review series. I know, I promised it would be out by Thursday. Yeah, Thursday, but I'm sorry. Things things came up, personal life, and I did say that I would try to have my Christopher Nolan review, like not my review, my Christopher Nolan my Christopher Nolan's movies ranked by Friday. But again, personal things happen with my family and just basically a lot of things happen. But you will be getting this, and I believe, like, right after this comes out, you will have my Christopher Nolan movies ranked. Now, look out for that by the time this is over. I imagine you'll have that to watch before this. Maybe you'll watch that before this video. But as of right now, here are my thoughts on Tenet. One of my positives on Tenet is that I've always really liked how this is like a spy movie. Now, back when this came out in 2020, I wasn't really a big fan of it. I was like, it's a spy movie. I'm not that really into it. But on this eponymous rewatch, I enjoyed that a lot more, where I thought that was a very interesting route to take. I thought it was really interesting. I'll get more into it later, but it felt a little familiar. But I've always really enjoyed that side of the story. Well, not always, but on this rewatch, I've enjoyed it more. I've always liked. God, I need to stop saying. I like that type of the thing that Christopher Nolan goes for in this movie, and it's just something that I've always really liked. God, why am I lying right now? I've liked that. I like that. It's an interesting place to take the story, but like I said again, I will get into it in a little bit. I just really like what Christopher Nolan does with that. Sorry if that bothers you with like the whole like flickering thing. That's my light. I'm still trying to fix that, so sorry for that if it bothers you. I really like the cast in this movie. What's the guy's name? Something Washington. One sec. David Washington. I almost forgot his name. I also thought it was funny when I originally had my review coming out Thursday. Was it? Yeah, no, wait, Friday was actually his birthday. I was like, hey, I'll try to get my review out for celebrate his birthday, but sadly that didn't happen. You even got Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson, I was never really a big fan of at first with Twilight and everything, which is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I'm looking at you, Mom. I know you like those movies. Don't deny it. And after that, I was like, Robert Pattinson's like. But when this movie came out back in 2020, I was like, okay, I'm starting to like this guy more. And especially after the Batman, the guy needs to do more things. He's a great actor. It just really shows what he's able to do. I need to see him in more movies. I will not be happy. And you also got Aaron Taylor Johnson, who we're going to see next year in August as Craven. That was supposed to come out this year, but it got delayed because of the writer's strike and Sony and bullshit. Excuse me. I like this cast. What the cast that we get is pretty cool. We even got Michael Caine in like a short role here, like a 5 minute scene maybe. I think this cast is really good. They do their part, but like I've said before ad nauseum with all these review series with Christopher Nolan always gets the best out of his actors. He always chooses great actors and just always gets the best out of them. I really enjoyed this cast for what we get, and we need to see these people in more movies, especially Aaron Taylor Johnson, who I don't see much of him anymore. Final positive is I really like the action in this movie. Oh, excuse me, my voice is doing something today to me. The action in this movie is pretty good. I think the action is pretty cool, especially the way it's choreographed, where I'll get to in my soon, really. Get to my soon, really. Like this whole concept about Tenet where like it's going backwards and you kind of like you have to think it what you're doing before it actually happens, and like that whole car scene where he's going backwards and trying to stop what happened earlier, which I will not spoil for you, and where he's like going backwards in a way and he's driving the car, and where he's also trying to keep his oxygen mask on because he can't breathe and that type of thing, which is really weird, really. I really like that whole scene too, where even like when they're doing like a weird spy scene where they're trying to get answers out of the female lead in this movie, where they go to question her and not wait, that wasn't the female lead, it was somebody else actually, my bad. And where they take everybody out silently like a legit spy movie. Kind of remind me a lot of like Mission Impossible. But yet again, I just got done watching those movies. It came out the same month too with Christopher Nolan and stuff. I thought the action in this movie was very cool. It got me on the edge of my seat again. It's just awesome. I really love the action in this movie, especially like the final sequence of this movie, the final act, which is probably my favorite part of the movie, except for that whole backwards car thing. The action in this movie is pretty cool. It's choreographed great, and it just shows that Christopher Nolan can direct and write great action sequences. Moving on to my mixed aspects, and that is the Tenet concept. I don't hate it. I don't think it's one of the worst concepts in the world. I like it. It's very cool, very creative. It's a little like Inception, which I'll get to later. But my problem is that it's way too fucking confusing. It's where they don't really explain it much. They explain it, but it's like, what? Like, what the fuck are you saying? What the fuck does this mean? Like, I was like, I don't get it. Just do more action. I just didn't understand it where you have to think before you do it, and you gotta wear an oxygen mask when you go and do it. They don't explain that either. It's very, very confusing. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's so confusing. It's just confusing. That's the only reason it's in my mixed aspects, is just how goddamn confusing it is. I was sitting there like, what the fuck are we talking about? What the fuck are you saying and shit? I didn't understand it. I did not understand how this concept works. I'm not the only one that doesn't. I'm not the only one who thinks it's confusing. Where I've actually seen every other reviewer say that they should love this movie, but it's just way too damn confusing. I like the Tenet concept. It's cool, but it just needed to be explained better. Then maybe I would have loved it. Moving on to my negatives, and I really only have one issue with this movie, is that this is basically Inception. This is basically Inception all over again. I hadn't seen Inception in years before this movie, or did I even watch Inception around that time? No, I didn't actually. When I was watching this movie, after especially watching all of Christopher Nolan's filmography, and especially Inception, which is one of the best movies ever now, that I've rewatched it. And when I was watching it, I was going, so this is basically Inception. Because the concept about this movie, where it's basically a spy movie, and Inception was a heist movie, which if you put those two together, they're basically the same type of subject. And they also got like a weird concept like Inception, where you can go into people's dreams and mess with them and get secrets and stuff. And Tenet, you gotta think before something happens, and all the stuff that happens in it is basically gonna fuck you over. Basically, those Tenet is basically Inception. I don't know if that was just me, but I was watching and I was like, this movie's cool, but it's just so goddamn familiar. Like I've seen this movie before. It just has different it just has different actors and different concept. Is it just me? Does anybody else think that this movie feels way too familiar? Feels like Inception? Am I the only one? Please let me know, because I don't actually know. But that's the only thing I don't like about this movie, and the only thing that basically leads to this movie being an awesome movie. Well, guys, I enjoyed this movie. I didn't love this movie by all means, but I did really like it. It was a lot of fun. I think the concept of Tenet is interesting, but if they pulled it off a little bit better, maybe this would be a much better movie. But this movie is not for everybody. I do want to say that first. But I don't hate this movie as much as everybody else does. But I would just go ahead and stream it. What do you guys think about Tenet? Have you seen this movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know in the comments below and we will talk about it. If you like this video, like it. And if you like, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you will get notified for my latest videos. But, of course, until next time, see you then.